Hi fellas, Nige back here again with another build, and this time we're going to be looking at Tamiya's F-14 Tomcat in 148 flavour. And as with any aircraft build, this starts with the cockpit, and as you can see me here, I am removing the sprues, the parts from the sprue, with a bigger set of snips. And then I'm going to come back with some single bladed snips to get those nubs off and get a lot closer. This is a new thing I've started looking at doing, see if I can get a little bit closer so I don't damage the part, and then I can come with a file or a sanding stick or sanding sponge or whatever you want to call it, and just take those nubs all the way down. So hopefully it'll give me a really nice fit when everything comes to putting it all together. Then I'm just scraping a little bit off with the knife just to get it a little bit further down, and then cracking on with the rest of it. So got to be really careful here. Okay, so this is the control stick, and this is where these snips come into their own, because they can get really close without damaging the part. And then all I've got to do is just scrape clean all the seams really carefully to make sure there's no mold line, and then gently, ever so gently, just filing and sanding, scraping wherever needed to make sure I get a good joint or good part. So once all the parts are off, I can then start looking at priming, and I've started using this aqueous surface primer, which, to be fair, it's brilliant. It's really good. It's the only primer that I feel confident in using that's not coming out of a rattle can. I've tried Vallejo, I've tried Badger, and all those sort of stuff, and with being the type they are, I have had problems where the primer has peeled no matter how well I clean it, or it doesn't sand very well. So when this came out with being acrylic, I thought I'd give it a go, and yeah, I really like it. So this is thinned with just normal IPA water sort of general thinner. It can be thinned with Mr. Surfacer or the aqueous one as well, which is, I think it's 400. And yeah, it's an absolutely brilliant primer. It really bites really well, so I highly recommend it. Now I've primed it, I can move on to doing the colours, and this is just the cockpit colour that I'm putting on now. I've not done any shadows or anything like that, because a lot of this I will pick out with a pin wash and stuff like that to help create the shadows. Now for something a little bit different for me, I'm going to start adding some shadows with some oils to these the cushions from the seat. So I've just got a really light colour there, and all I'm going to do, I'm just going to put it to the high bits, and then get a flat brush with a little bit of thinner, not a lot, and then just start blending it in. And this is just going to hopefully add some artificial light in there. I mean, you want to try and add highlights and shadows in there just to make it come more alive, and that's what I'm trying to do. So you can just see I'm just dabbing that oil paint in, keeping it to the top and the edge of the actual seat. I keep going back, just adding a little bit more. It's giving me a little bit more pronounced shade on there. Okay, and this oil paint, it goes a long way, but don't be afraid to use it. If I didn't like this, I could just get the thinner and just totally take it all off. So there we've got some highlights, and now we're going for the low lights. So just some smoke there, and I'll just put it inside the crease there, and just as you can see, just blending it all in to give me a shadow in there. You know, just a little bit of an artificial shadow there. And next up, we're going to start looking at the actual buttons and the controls and what have you in the cockpit. And I will do this my normal way. I just get some rollerball pens, many different colours, uniball I think they are, and just basically dot them on where there's a raised part. It gives me quite a lot of control, and if I don't like it, I can actually wipe it off and then you can see it. So I'm just going to go through and do the whole lot with the different colours, whites, reds, yellows, silver, you know, whatever I feel it is, with some of the actual reference photos I've got. And sometimes it's a little bit of you know, artistic license to see what's what. Once all that's done, I then can move on to start doing some blending and some shadows and what have you on the coning, because this is all fabric, so I'm just trying to make it look like fabric. I've actually lost some of this recording, so I treat this the same as I would treat the seat, with some highlights and low lights, just to help, you know, fetch it out a bit more. Once that's dabbed on, I'm then going to get my brush and I'm going to blend it all in again. This one's a dry brush, so I'm just blending it all in, and then I will start to blend it in a bit more with some IPA and stuff like that. Not IPA. I'm now doing some dry brushing, so I'm just loading up a proper dry brush, and then I'm getting rid of most of that paint, and then just pouring it all on the raised areas, just to make them stand out a bit more, to give the seat some depth and make it look solid. And to do this dry brushing, I'm just using a random grey colour. It could be a darker or a lighter, it depends on what you're actually going for. I'm trying to make it just a little bit darker, so I don't want it to pop really too much. Next up, we start adding a wash to all the different parts to help, you know, fetch out the instrument panels, the recesses, and these are all just oil paint with odorless thinners in there, and I'll just, you know, dop it here and there, run into all the nooks and crannies of the cockpit, just to, you know, to make them stand out a bit more. And then on the black bits, the controls and what have you, I'm just going to use a faded grey to help pick out that there's, you know, the separation between the different panels. Hopefully that again will help add a little bit of depth to the actual cockpit. Then we a damp cotton board, Q-tip, whatever you want to call it, with some oilless thinner. I always dip it into the thinner and then try and remove as much as I can. And then we're just going to remove the most of that oil work, that pin wash that we're just getting. And again, you know, hopefully leaving it all in the crevice and all that sort of stuff. And hopefully we will end up with that detail being picked out. And I should say that before I did the pin wash, I gave everything a nice acrylic gloss coat, okay, because that'll help the oil paints flow, and we're protecting all the paintwork and all that hard work we've done beforehand on everything. Next up, some pigments. Bear in mind that these go a long way, so you don't want to be pouring loads in there. You know, you only need a little bit, and they will, you know, it will go everywhere. So I'm just trying to get it right into the corners of the cockpit floor, because obviously that's going to be the hardest place to get any sort of crap out of there. So next up, again, it's all about adding a little bit of depth and realism. So we're just using a silver watercolour pencil and an actual pencil just to add scrapes and scratches into the cockpit floor. I'm not going mad because you won't really see a lot of it in there. I just want to add some in there, because that's where obviously the pilot and the co-pilot's navigator, observer, whatever you want to call him in these aircraft, boot's going to be. And then I can just blend it in a little bit with a brush. Then we can start again adding to the edges of the cockpit. the cockpit, the seats, and this will help add again depth and realism. So on the edges we can pick out to make them seemingly chipped with the pencil and with the watercolor pencil. And again, with both these techniques, if I wanted to remove it, I just gotta go in there with a wet paintbrush or a wet Q-tip, and I can remove what I don't like. So next up is some harnesses. So the kit doesn't come with harnesses, and I tried to put the decal ones onto some foil, but it didn't quite work. So I will try that again in the future. But my normal practice with this is to get my nice sharp knife on a tile and just cut it as close as I can, and then pressing it in. Try and get rid of all the end bits and all the tabs and stuff like that. Next up is trying to bend them in the right place and file them if need be to get rid of the tabs. So I use this pair of flat pliers just to line up and file them off to try and get them nice and close as I can to where they want to go. And now what I'm going to do, I'm not going to glue them, I'm going to bend them into place. So hopefully they look right before I glue them. So once they're bent into place, I can now look at them and I can see where they're going, and hopefully make them more realistic. So I'm doing it before I actually glue them, so hopefully I get a better result. Doesn't always work, but hopefully this time it will do. So there it is, the cockpit all completed. Yes, I missed some out, but I thought I'd record it when I hadn't. But I hope you agreed that it's turned out not too bad. I'm quite happy with it, and hopefully it'll be on to putting the rest of it together. So I will see you on the next one, guys. Bye for now.